Welcome to Audiobook segment. Every story you'll hear is crafted from the ground up, written, produced, and narrated entirely by us. Nothing recycled, nothing repurposed, just original work made for this channel. So grab your headphones, settle in, and enjoy today's audiobook. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to get what they want without even trying? They can persuade, inspire, and influence others effortlessly. Imagine being able to do the same, not by being pushy or fake, but by understanding the real secrets of human behavior. In this audiobook, you will discover how to communicate better, build trust, and influence people ethically. You'll learn the simple skills that can make a big difference in your personal life, your career, and your relationships. From understanding the way people think to mastering persuasion techniques, each chapter is designed to give you practical strategies you can use immediately. So, if you want to unlock your power to influence others and create real change in your life, listen closely. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you never miss another life-changing audiobook. Chapter 1. Understanding why influence matters. Influence is everywhere. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, you are influenced by people around you, by media, and by your own thoughts. Some people realize this and use it to their advantage, while others remain unaware and struggle to get their ideas heard. Understanding why influence matters is the first step toward becoming a person who can create impact, inspire change, and build meaningful connections. Influence is not about forcing someone to do something. It's about guiding, persuading, and helping people see things in a way that benefits both of you. Think about the last time a friend convinced you to try a new game, watch a movie, or even change your opinion about something. You didn't feel forced, right? That is influence in action. Influence is subtle but powerful, and it shapes the world around you. The people who master influence have one thing in common: they understand human behavior. They know what motivates people, what makes them trust others, and how emotions play a role in decision-making. Without this understanding, influence can feel like magic or worse, manipulation. But once you grasp the core principles, you can use influence ethically and effectively. Why should you care about influence? Because life is full of opportunities where influence can help you achieve your goals. Whether it's in school, at work, in friendships, or even within your family, the ability to persuade, inspire, and guide others is a skill that sets successful people apart. Influence helps you build relationships faster, solve conflicts more smoothly, and get cooperation when you need it. Think of influence like a key. When used properly, it can open doors, create opportunities, and make your ideas heard. But like any key, if you try to force it, it can break, and the results can be negative. That's why learning influence is not about tricking people. It's about understanding them and communicating in a way that feels natural and authentic. Now, let's talk about one of the first lessons in influence: perception. People are influenced by what they see, hear, and feel. If someone perceives you as confident, trustworthy, and knowledgeable, they are more likely to follow your suggestions or listen to your advice. Confidence isn't about being loud or dominant. It's about being calm, clear, and consistent. People are naturally drawn to those who know what they want and how to express it respectfully. Another important factor is credibility. Credibility comes from consistency and honesty. When people see that your words match your actions, your influence grows. But when there is a mismatch, when people catch you exaggerating or pretending, they lose trust quickly. Influence without trust is temporary at best, and trust takes time to build, but it can be lost in an instant. Influence is also closely tied to empathy. Understanding what someone feels, why they feel it, and what they want makes it easier to communicate in a way that resonates with them. When you connect with someone's emotions, your words carry more weight. Think about a teacher who explains something in a way that makes sense to you, or a friend who understands your worries without judging you. That connection is influence at work. It's not just about people around you either. Self-influence is just as important. How you think, how you respond to challenges, and how you manage your emotions will determine how effectively you influence others. If you are calm under pressure, confident in your decisions, and respectful in your communication, people are more likely to trust and follow your lead. As you continue to listen to this audiobook, remember that influence is a skill, not a trait. Some people seem naturally good at it, but anyone can learn it. It takes practice, observation, and a willingness to understand people genuinely. Each chapter will build on the last, teaching you practical strategies and techniques to influence ethically and effectively. By the end of this audiobook, you will understand how influence works, how to communicate persuasively, and how to apply these skills in your everyday life. From building trust to mastering negotiation, from reading body language to telling stories that inspire, every concept is designed to help you grow as an influential and respected individual. The first step, however, is simply understanding why influence matters. Without recognizing its importance, all other techniques will fall flat. Think about it. Every great leader, teacher, parent, or friend uses influence to make a difference. Influence is not optional. It is part of life. By mastering it, you are not just learning a skill, you are learning how to navigate the world with confidence, empathy, and impact. Now that we understand why influence matters, the next step is to look at how people think and make decisions, which will be covered in Chapter 2. Understanding human behavior is the foundation for every strategy you will learn in this audiobook. The better you understand how people respond to ideas, emotions, and actions, the more effective your influence will be. Chapter 2: Understanding Human Behavior. Every person you meet has thoughts, feelings, and motivations that influence the decisions they make. To master the art of influencing people, you first need to understand how human behavior works. People are not random. They follow patterns shaped by their experiences, emotions, and environment. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to connecting with someone and persuading them effectively. Think about a friend convincing you to try a new video game or watch a movie. Why did you agree? Most likely it was because you trusted their opinion. They understood your likes and dislikes, and they presented the idea in a way that felt appealing to you. That's behavior in action. Every choice people make, no matter how small, is influenced by what they think and feel. One key principle is that people are motivated by what they want, not what you want. If you try to influence someone without considering their desires, your efforts will fail. People pay attention to their needs, fears, and goals. Successful influencers know how to connect what they are offering to what the other person cares about. This is why understanding behavior is more important than memorizing techniques. It allows you to adapt your approach to each individual. Another important aspect is emotions. Humans make most decisions based on feelings, not logic. Even when someone thinks they are making a rational choice, emotions play a hidden role. Happiness, fear, excitement, and trust all shape how people respond to ideas. When you recognize and respect these emotions, your influence becomes more effective. For instance, acknowledging someone's concerns before offering a solution makes them more open to your perspective. Perception is another major factor. How someone perceives you and your message affects how they respond. If they see you as knowledgeable, trustworthy, and confident, your suggestions carry more weight. But if they perceive you as arrogant or manipulative, even the best advice will be ignored. Therefore, your actions, tone of voice, and body language all contribute to how others interpret your intentions. Humans also have social instincts. We are wired to care about what others think, to seek approval, and to belong. Influential people understand this and use it responsibly. When you show that your ideas align with social values or group norms, others are more likely to accept them. For example, if everyone in a group is excited about a project, introducing a similar idea becomes easier because it taps into the social dynamic. Another important concept is habits. People act according to routines they have built over time. Habits can be powerful guides for behavior, but they can also be barriers. Influencing someone often requires understanding their habits and finding ways to work with them, not against them. For instance, if someone has a habit of avoiding conflict, you can influence them by presenting your ideas calmly and respectfully, rather than confronting them aggressively. Cognitive biases also play a role. These are shortcuts the brain takes to make quick decisions. Biases like favoring familiar people, overestimating risks, or trusting first impressions can impact how someone reacts to your message. Skilled influencers understand these biases and use them ethically to communicate clearly. For example, building credibility early in a conversation can help counteract a person's skepticism later. People's behavior is also shaped by values and beliefs. Everyone has a set of principles that guide their decisions. When you understand what someone values most, you can frame your ideas in a way that resonates with them. For instance, if someone highly values honesty, demonstrating transparency in your communication will make them more receptive to your influence. Observation is a powerful tool for understanding behavior. Watch how people react in different situations, notice their expressions, listen to their tone, and pay attention to patterns. Small details often reveal big insights. If someone leans forward when excited or crosses their arms when uncomfortable, you can adjust your approach to meet them where they are emotionally. Another critical element is listening. People rarely listen fully to understand. They often listen to respond. By truly listening, you gain insight into their needs, fears, and goals. This information is invaluable for influencing them ethically. When someone feels heard, they are naturally more open to your suggestions. Influence is not about changing someone overnight. It is about guiding, supporting, and helping them see options they might not have considered. Patience is essential. People rarely change because someone tells them to. They change when they feel understood and supported. By understanding behavior, you can provide the right guidance at the right time. Behavior is also context-dependent. How someone reacts in one situation may differ in another. External factors like stress, environment, and social pressure all affect decisions. An influential person adapts to these factors, adjusting communication and strategy as needed. Flexibility is a hallmark of skilled influence. Lastly, self-awareness is part of understanding others. The more you understand your own behaviors, biases, and reactions, the better you can read and influence others. Self-reflection allows you to notice when your emotions might cloud your judgment, ensuring your influence remains ethical and effective. By studying human behavior carefully, you build the foundation for every other skill in this audiobook. Influence is not magic. It is predictable once you understand patterns, emotions, and motivation. When you combine this knowledge with communication, persuasion, and ethical strategies, your ability to inspire and guide others becomes powerful. As we move to the next chapter, we will explore building trust and rapport. Understanding behavior is the first step, but without trust, influence cannot take root. Learning how to connect genuinely and establish trust will make every persuasive effort far more effective. The principles you learn in this chapter will naturally flow into strategies that allow people to listen, follow, and cooperate with you willingly. Chapter 3. Building Trust and Rapport. Trust is the foundation of influence. Without trust, even the clearest message or the best advice can fall flat. People are naturally cautious about accepting suggestions, especially from someone they don't know or understand. To influence effectively, you must first create a sense of trust and connection, which is often called rapport. Building trust starts with honesty. When you are honest, people feel safe sharing their thoughts and listening to your ideas. Honesty is not just about telling the truth. It's about being genuine in your words, actions, and intentions. If your actions match your words, trust grows. If there is a gap, people sense it immediately, and influence diminishes. Another key element is consistency. People trust those who are reliable. When you say you will do something, follow through. When you communicate clearly and consistently, people know what to expect. Predictability is comforting. It builds confidence that you are dependable and sincere. Listening is one of the most powerful ways to build trust. Most people listen to reply, not to understand. But when you truly listen, you show respect for their thoughts and feelings. Active listening involves paying attention, acknowledging what they say, and asking questions to clarify. When people feel heard, they are more likely to trust and value your perspective. Rapport also grows through empathy. Empathy means understanding someone else's emotions and perspectives without judgment. When you connect emotionally, people feel that you care about them. This doesn't mean agreeing with everything they say, but it means recognizing their feelings and validating their experiences. Empathy makes communication smoother and opens doors for influence. Body language plays a crucial role as well. People often notice how you act more than what you say. Maintaining open posture, appropriate eye contact, and a calm tone can make others feel comfortable and safe. Mirroring subtle behaviors, like matching their pace or gestures, can also build rapport, but it must feel natural. Forced imitation can backfire. Sharing personal stories or experiences can strengthen trust. When you reveal something about yourself, people feel a connection. It humanizes you and demonstrates that you understand real-life challenges. Stories create emotional bonds that make your influence more effective. For example, telling a personal story about overcoming fear or making a tough decision can inspire and resonate with listeners. Respect is essential. Treating people with respect, regardless of their status or opinion, shows that you value them. Respectful communication builds credibility and rapport faster than any persuasive technique. Avoid belittling or interrupting others. Instead, focus on understanding their viewpoint. Transparency is another pillar of trust. People respond well when they know your intentions and reasoning. Explain why you suggest something, or how a decision benefits both sides. When your motives are clear, people feel confident following your guidance. Hidden agendas erode trust quickly, even if your suggestion is useful. Patience is key. Trust cannot be rushed. Some people take longer to open up, and pushing too hard can backfire. Allow relationships to develop naturally. Small, consistent actions over time often matter more than grand gestures. Listening, empathy, and honesty together create an environment where rapport flourishes. Influence is easier when people feel understood and respected. A person who trusts you is more willing to consider your ideas, follow your lead, and cooperate without resistance. It's also important to be aware of cultural and individual differences. What builds trust for one person may not work for another. Observe, ask, and adjust your approach based on the person's reactions. Flexibility is a hallmark of a skilled influencer. Another tool for building rapport is finding common ground. Shared interests, goals, or experiences create a natural connection. People are more receptive to ideas from someone they feel similar to or understand their perspective. Even small gestures like remembering a name or a previous conversation topic show attention and care. Positive reinforcement strengthens trust and rapport as well. Acknowledge efforts, praise progress, and express appreciation genuinely. Positive feedback encourages cooperation and signals that you notice and value the other person. Avoid manipulative tactics. Influence built on deception or coercion is temporary and damages relationships. Ethical influencers focus on building authentic connections. Over time, genuine trust multiplies your influence far more than shortcuts ever could. Remember, trust is reciprocal. You cannot fully influence someone if you do not also show trust toward them. Accept their opinions, give them space to make choices, and respect boundaries. This creates a two-way street of respect and openness. By practicing honesty, consistency, empathy, listening, transparency, and respect, you create a solid foundation for influence. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to strengthen relationships, and stronger relationships mean your ideas will be heard and valued. As you develop trust and rapport, influence becomes more natural. People are more likely to cooperate, follow guidance, and embrace your suggestions. Influence is no longer about convincing. It becomes about connecting and supporting. In the next chapter, we will explore effective communication skills, which builds directly on trust and rapport. Once people trust you, your ability to communicate clearly, persuasively, and effectively determines how far your influence can reach. The strategies you learn next will help turn trust into action. Chapter 4: Effective Communication Skills. Communication is the bridge between understanding and influence. You can have all the knowledge, strategies, and trust in the world, but if you cannot communicate your ideas clearly, people will not follow or understand you. Effective communication is not just about speaking, it's about connecting, listening, and ensuring your message lands as intended. The first step in effective communication is clarity. Be clear about what you want to convey. Avoid unnecessary words or complicated explanations. When your message is simple, people understand it quickly and can act on it. Clarity also builds credibility because it shows you know your subject and can express it confidently. Next is conciseness. People are busy and distracted. Long-winded explanations or unnecessary details can lose their attention. Get to the point without rushing. Every sentence should serve a purpose, either explaining, persuading, or guiding. This is especially important in influence, as concise messages are more likely to stick in someone's mind. Tone of voice is another critical element. Your tone communicates as much as your words. A calm, confident tone signals authority and reliability, while an uncertain or rushed tone can create doubt. Tone also conveys emotion, enthusiasm, empathy, concern, which helps connect with your audience. Listening actively is part of communication. Influential communicators listen more than they speak. Active listening means paying attention to what the other person says, how they say it, and what they might be feeling. When you listen, you gain insights that allow you to respond appropriately, making your influence more effective. Nonverbal communication plays a huge role as well. Body language, facial expressions, and gestures can reinforce or contradict your words. Open posture, consistent eye contact, and calm gestures make people feel comfortable and respected. Avoid closed-off gestures like crossed arms or fidgeting, as they can reduce trust and engagement. Stories and examples are powerful tools in communication. People remember stories more than facts or instructions. By using relatable examples, you help your audience visualize concepts, making them easier to understand and accept. Stories also create emotional connections, which strengthens influence. Another essential skill is asking the right questions. Questions guide conversations, uncover needs, and clarify misunderstandings. Open-ended questions encourage discussion, while closed questions can confirm understanding. Asking questions shows interest, builds rapport, and makes people more receptive to your ideas. Feedback is a key part of communication. Providing constructive, respectful feedback helps others improve and shows that you are engaged. At the same time, being open to receiving feedback demonstrates humility and a willingness to learn, which further strengthens trust and influence. Adaptability is also crucial. Not everyone communicates in the same way. Some people prefer direct, brief messages, while others need detailed explanations or visual cues. By observing and adjusting to their style, you ensure your message is received effectively. Flexibility in communication enhances your ability to influence diverse people. Effective communication also involves empathy in expression. Consider the listener's perspective, feelings, and possible concerns. Tailoring your message to address these aspects makes it more persuasive. When people feel understood, they are more likely to engage and act on your ideas. Timing matters too. Knowing when to speak and when to listen can significantly impact your influence. Interrupting or rushing discussions can reduce receptiveness. Giving people space to process and respond creates an environment where ideas are considered thoughtfully. Clarity, conciseness, tone, nonverbal cues, stories, questions, feedback, adaptability, and empathy all work together to make communication effective. Each element reinforces the others, creating a natural flow that guides people toward understanding and agreement. Confidence in communication is equally important. People are drawn to those who speak clearly and confidently, even if they are still learning themselves. Confidence is not arrogance, it is a calm assurance that your message is valuable and worth listening to. When combined with trust and rapport, confidence makes influence much more effective. Active practice is essential. The more you communicate intentionally, the better you become. Pay attention to how people respond, which words resonate, and how nonverbal signals affect interactions. Each experience strengthens your skill, making your influence more precise and natural over time. Effective communication is also about story sequencing. Present your ideas in a logical order, starting with concepts people can relate to, then gradually introducing more complex ideas. This helps your audience follow your message without feeling overwhelmed. Sequencing ensures your influence grows steadily rather than confusing or pushing people away. As we continue in this audiobook, you will see how these communication skills link directly to persuasion. Once you master trust, rapport, and effective communication, you are ready to learn the psychology behind persuasion, which is the next chapter. Understanding how people think and react to your words allows you to apply communication skills in the most impactful way. By mastering effective communication, you are building the bridge that connects your intentions with other people's understanding. Trust gets you attention, but clear, empathetic communication ensures that your ideas are received, remembered, and acted upon. In the next chapter, we will explore the psychology of persuasion. This chapter will build on everything we have covered so far: trust, rapport, and communication, and show you the mental triggers that make people more likely to accept your ideas willingly. Chapter 5. The Psychology of Persuasion. Persuasion is the art of guiding people's thoughts, feelings, and actions without forcing them. It is not about tricking or manipulating, it is about understanding how the mind works and using that knowledge to communicate in ways that inspire agreement and action. The psychology of persuasion is a critical step in mastering influence because it explains why people say yes and how you can present your ideas in ways that naturally appeal to them. One of the first principles of persuasion is reciprocity. People tend to feel obliged to return favors or kindness. If you help someone, share knowledge, or provide value without expecting anything in return, they are more likely to listen to you and consider your ideas. This doesn't mean doing something manipulative, it means offering genuine value, which builds a natural tendency for others to respond positively. Another key principle is social proof. Humans are social creatures and often look to others when deciding how to act. If people see that others are engaging with an idea, using a product, or following a suggestion, they are more likely to join in. Social proof is why testimonials, reviews, or stories of success can influence decisions. When used ethically, showing examples of others benefiting from your advice can be highly persuasive. Authority is another powerful element. People tend to follow those who appear knowledgeable, experienced, or credible. This doesn't require a formal title. It can be demonstrated through clear explanations, evidence, and confidence. When you present your ideas with authority, people are more likely to trust and accept them. This is why building credibility is so closely linked to persuasion. Commitment and consistency also play a role. People like to act in ways that align with their past actions and decisions. If someone agrees to a small request or takes a small step, they are more likely to agree to larger requests that are consistent with that step. For example, if you ask a colleague for their opinion on a minor matter, they may be more open to supporting a bigger idea later. Small commitments create a pathway for greater influence. Liking is surprisingly powerful. People are more easily influenced by individuals they like or feel connected to. This is why building rapport, showing empathy, and finding common ground are so important. When someone likes and trusts you, they are naturally more open to your suggestions. Even simple gestures, like showing genuine interest in their thoughts, can increase your influence significantly. Scarcity is another psychological factor. People are more motivated to act when they perceive something as rare, limited, or time-sensitive. Scarcity triggers a sense of urgency, encouraging quicker decisions. However, it is important to use scarcity ethically. Highlighting genuine opportunities or unique benefits works, but creating false urgency can damage trust. Emotions play a central role in persuasion. Logic alone rarely motivates action. People make decisions based on feelings and then justify them with reason. Understanding the emotional drivers behind someone's choices allows you to frame your message in ways that resonate deeply. For example, showing how an idea can reduce fear, increase happiness, or solve a problem can create a stronger impact than simply presenting facts. Framing is another technique linked to persuasion. The way information is presented affects perception. Positive framing, storytelling, and emphasizing benefits rather than drawbacks make ideas more appealing. For instance, telling someone, "This approach will help you save time and feel more confident," is often more persuasive than focusing on avoiding mistakes. Listening remains a critical part of persuasion. To influence someone, you must understand their needs, desires, and objections. Ask questions, pay attention to their answers, and adapt your approach accordingly. Persuasion is not a one-size-fits-all process. It requires observation and adjustment. Persuasion also benefits from repetition and reinforcement. People need time to absorb new ideas. Consistently reinforcing key points through discussion, examples, or reminders helps solidify your message in their minds. Repetition works best when it is natural and integrated into meaningful conversations rather than forced. Ethical persuasion relies on honesty and respect. Avoid manipulation, pressure, or deceit. Persuasion is most powerful when people feel free to make their own choices. The goal is to guide, not coerce, so that both parties benefit. When people see that your suggestions are genuine and considerate, your influence strengthens. Non-verbal cues enhance persuasion. Your tone, facial expressions, gestures, and posture support your words. Confident, calm, and positive non-verbal communication makes your message more credible. In contrast, hesitation, fidgeting, or negative expressions can undermine your persuasive efforts, even if your words are strong. Timing is also crucial. Present ideas when the person is receptive, not when they are distracted or stressed. Observing their mood, attention level, and environment can determine the success of your message. Effective persuasion is as much about when you communicate as how. Understanding objections is another critical skill. People often resist ideas due to fear, misunderstanding, or previous experiences. Recognizing and addressing these concerns openly builds trust and reduces resistance. Listening to objections, empathizing, and providing clear explanations makes people more likely to accept your perspective. The psychology of persuasion is not only about influencing others, it also helps you reflect on your own decisions. By understanding why people are persuaded, you become more aware of your own responses and can make thoughtful, intentional choices. This self-awareness makes you both a better influencer and a more discerning listener. When you combine these principles, reciprocity, social proof, authority, consistency, liking, scarcity, emotional framing, active listening, reinforcement, ethical integrity, non-verbal cues, timing, and addressing objections, you create a powerful, natural ability to guide people's thoughts and actions. Influence becomes less about effort and more about understanding and alignment. As we move to the next chapter, listening to understand, you will learn how to apply these persuasion principles through active listening. Understanding the psychology is important, but influence only works when you listen carefully, notice emotions, and respond appropriately. The strategies in the next chapter will help you connect your persuasive knowledge to real-life interactions, making your influence even stronger. Chapter 6. Listening to understand. Listening is one of the most powerful tools in the art of influence. Yet, many people believe they are listening when they are really just waiting for their turn to speak. True listening goes beyond hearing words. It is about understanding thoughts, emotions, and intentions. When you listen carefully, you gain insight into what motivates others, which makes your influence far more effective. Active listening begins with focus. Eliminate distractions and give your full attention to the speaker. This means putting away your phone, turning your attention toward the person, and showing through your posture and expressions that you are present. People immediately sense when someone is distracted, and it reduces trust and engagement. Next is empathy. Try to feel what the other person is feeling without judgment. Empathy allows you to understand their perspective, their needs, and their concerns. For instance, if a colleague is frustrated about a project delay, acknowledging their frustration before offering a solution makes them more receptive. Empathetic listening creates connection, and connection builds influence. Reflective listening is another technique. This involves repeating back or paraphrasing what someone says to confirm understanding. For example, saying, "So what you're saying is that you're concerned about the timeline," rhyme shows that you are paying attention and clarifies any potential misunderstandings. This method strengthens trust and demonstrates that you value their input. Asking thoughtful questions enhances listening. Open-ended questions encourage people to share more details about their thoughts and feelings. Questions like, "Can you tell me more about why this matters to you?" or "How did that make you feel?" help you uncover motivations, desires, and challenges that are crucial for influence. Non-verbal cues are also part of listening. Pay attention to facial expressions, tone of voice, gestures, and posture. Often, people communicate more through non-verbal signals than through words. Observing these cues can reveal underlying emotions or concerns that might not be explicitly stated. Avoid interrupting or offering solutions too quickly. Let the person express their full thoughts before responding. Premature advice or corrections can make them feel unheard and reduce your influence. Patience in listening shows respect and allows you to gather more information for a thoughtful response. Active listening also requires suspending judgment. Even if you disagree with what someone is saying, focus on understanding their perspective fully before forming an opinion. This doesn't mean you have to agree, but it allows for constructive dialogue. People are more likely to consider your suggestions when they feel understood rather than judged. Emotional intelligence plays a key role in listening. Recognize your own emotions and avoid letting them interfere with understanding the other person. For example, if someone is angry, respond calmly rather than reacting with frustration. Managing your emotions ensures that your listening is effective and that your responses support influence rather than conflict. Another important aspect is remembering details. People notice when you recall previous conversations, preferences, or concerns. Remembering these details demonstrates care and attention, which strengthens rapport and increases your persuasive power. Even small gestures, like referencing a past comment or asking about a previously discussed topic, show that you genuinely listen. Listening also helps identify objections and resistance. By understanding the reasons behind someone's hesitation, you can address them directly and respectfully. This makes your suggestions more likely to be accepted. Observing subtle cues, like hesitation in speech or uncertainty in body language, provides clues about how to adjust your approach. Timing is part of listening as well. Sometimes people need space to process their thoughts before responding. Don't rush them. Give them time to articulate their ideas fully. By being patient, you create an environment where people feel safe sharing honestly, which is crucial for influence. Summarizing and clarifying are practical tools in listening. After someone has spoken, Briefly summarize their points to confirm understanding. This ensures you grasp the full message and shows the other person that their input matters. Clear summaries reduce misunderstandings and strengthen the impact of your influence. Listening also helps you adapt your communication style. Different people respond better to different approaches. Some prefer facts and logic, while others respond to emotions or stories. By listening carefully, you can detect which approach resonates most and tailor your message for maximum impact. Influence grows naturally when listening is genuine. People are drawn to those who understand them, respect their opinions, and respond thoughtfully. Listening is not passive. It is an active process that shapes how you guide, persuade, and inspire. Ethical listening ensures that influence is built on trust. Avoid using information shared during listening to manipulate or deceive. Instead, use it to address needs, solve problems, and communicate effectively. Integrity in listening strengthens relationships and long-term influence. By mastering the skill of listening to understand, you lay the groundwork for advanced influence techniques. Once you can truly hear and comprehend what others think and feel, every subsequent strategy, whether persuasion, negotiation, or leadership, becomes more powerful and effective. The next chapter, Emotional Intelligence in Influence, builds directly on listening. Understanding behavior and listening carefully sets the stage for recognizing and managing emotions, both yours and others, to influence ethically and effectively. Chapter 7. Emotional Intelligence in Influence. Emotions play a central role in human behavior, decisions, and interactions. To influence people effectively, you must understand emotions, both your own and others. This ability is called emotional intelligence, or EQ. High emotional intelligence allows you to respond thoughtfully, communicate clearly, and guide others without conflict. It is a key skill for anyone looking to master influence. The first aspect of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. You need to understand your own emotions, triggers, and responses. Ask yourself questions like, why do I feel frustrated in this situation, or what is my goal in this interaction? By recognizing your emotions, you can control them instead of letting them control you. People are naturally influenced by those who remain calm and composed, even in challenging situations. Next is self-regulation. Once you understand your emotions, you must manage them. This doesn't mean suppressing feelings. It means responding appropriately. For example, if someone criticizes you, a person with high EQ does not react defensively. Instead, they stay calm, consider the perspective, and respond constructively. Controlling your emotions allows your influence to remain positive and effective. Empathy, a core component of emotional intelligence, is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. Influential people notice emotions behind words, tone, and body language. Empathy allows you to connect on a deeper level. When people feel understood, they are more likely to trust you and be open to your ideas. For instance, if a coworker is nervous about a presentation, acknowledging their anxiety and offering support creates trust and influence. Another key element is motivation. Emotionally intelligent individuals understand what drives themselves and others. Motivations can be internal, like personal growth, or external, like recognition. By recognizing what motivates someone, you can present ideas in a way that aligns with their goals. When influence matches personal motivation, it is more effective and lasting. Social skills are also critical in emotional intelligence. This includes communication, conflict resolution, and collaboration. People are more likely to be influenced by someone who communicates clearly, listens actively, and handles disagreements respectfully. Strong social skills allow you to navigate different personalities, adapt your approach, and maintain positive relationships while guiding others. Managing stress is another component of EQ. High-pressure situations often trigger emotional responses that can weaken influence. By staying calm under stress, you demonstrate reliability and leadership. For example, during a disagreement, Remaining composed allows others to focus on solutions rather than emotions, making your suggestions more persuasive. Recognizing and addressing emotions in real time is part of emotional intelligence. Notice signs of frustration, excitement, hesitation, or confusion. Respond appropriately, acknowledge feelings, clarify misunderstandings, and adjust your communication style. People are more receptive when they feel their emotions are understood and respected. Emotional intelligence also enhances problem solving. Understanding emotions allows you to identify the root of conflicts or resistance. Instead of reacting to surface issues, you can address underlying concerns, which increases the effectiveness of your influence. For instance, if someone rejects an idea, exploring their emotional reasoning can reveal alternative ways to present it more persuasively. Building emotional intelligence requires practice. Reflect on interactions, observe emotional cues in others, and evaluate how your responses affect outcomes. Journaling or self-reflection exercises can help identify patterns and improve emotional awareness. Over time, this awareness strengthens your ability to influence ethically and effectively. Another important aspect is relationship management. People are more willing to be influenced by someone who maintains strong, positive relationships. Emotional intelligence helps you nurture trust, navigate conflicts, and communicate supportively. By maintaining healthy relationships, your influence grows naturally over time. Influence without emotional intelligence is often limited. You may know the techniques of persuasion or communication, but without understanding emotions, your efforts can fall flat or even backfire. Emotional intelligence ensures that your influence is ethical, respectful, and sustainable. Nonverbal communication is closely tied to emotional intelligence. Facial expressions, tone of voice, and gestures convey emotion as much as words do. Being aware of how your nonverbal signals affect others and reading theirs accurately enhances your ability to guide and persuade. Emotional intelligence also helps with self-motivation. Influential people often face setbacks or resistance. Maintaining a positive mindset and managing internal emotions allows you to stay focused and resilient. This energy and persistence are contagious, inspiring others to follow your lead. Finally, emotional intelligence allows you to create environments that encourage cooperation and engagement. People naturally gravitate toward those who understand, respect, and respond to their emotions. By fostering this environment, your influence becomes not only more effective, but also ethical and long-lasting. As we move to the next chapter, nonverbal influence, body language and tone, you will learn how to use emotional intelligence in action. Reading and using nonverbal cues enhances your ability to communicate, persuade, and connect with people on a deeper level. Emotional intelligence is the foundation that makes nonverbal influence meaningful and effective. Chapter 8. Nonverbal influence. Body language and tone. Words are powerful, but nonverbal communication often speaks louder than words. The way you carry yourself, your gestures, facial expressions, and tone of voice all contribute to how people perceive you. Mastering nonverbal influence allows you to guide, persuade, and connect with others more effectively than words alone. One of the most important aspects of nonverbal influence is body posture. Standing or sitting upright communicates confidence and authority. Slouching or avoiding eye contact can suggest uncertainty or lack of interest. People are naturally drawn to those who appear confident because it signals competence and reliability. Eye contact is another critical tool. Maintaining appropriate eye contact shows attentiveness, confidence, and sincerity. Too little eye contact may signal disinterest, while too much can feel aggressive. The right balance creates trust and connection, making others more receptive to your ideas. Facial expressions convey emotion and intention. A genuine smile can create warmth and approachability, while frowning or showing frustration may build tension. Understanding how to control and read expressions allows you to respond effectively in conversations and influence outcomes without words. Gestures also play a key role. Open hand movements can signal honesty and openness, while crossed arms may indicate defensiveness. Small, natural gestures emphasize your message and make it more memorable. Overly dramatic or forced gestures, however, can distract or appear insincere. Tone of voice shapes how your message is received. A calm, steady, and confident tone conveys authority and control. Tone communicates emotion, even if the words are neutral. For example, a reassuring tone can reduce resistance, while a rushed or tense tone can create anxiety or doubt. Matching tone with the content of your message enhances clarity and persuasion. Mirroring is another subtle but effective technique. People feel more comfortable when they see reflections of their own body language, gestures, or speech patterns. Mirroring should be natural, not forced, and can build rapport and trust without the listener even noticing. Personal space and physical presence are also part of nonverbal influence. Respecting personal boundaries shows consideration and respect, which strengthens trust. Invading space can make people feel defensive or uncomfortable, reducing your influence. Observing cues like leaning back, crossing arms, or stepping away can help you adjust appropriately. Nonverbal cues also help you read emotions in others. People often communicate feelings they do not express in words through body language, posture, or facial expressions. Recognizing these signals allows you to adapt your approach, address concerns, and respond empathetically, increasing your persuasive impact. Gestures and expressions are often tied to culture and context. Be aware that the same movement or expression can have different meanings in different settings. Observing reactions carefully ensures your nonverbal communication supports rather than hinders influence. Pauses and pacing are also part of nonverbal communication. Speaking too quickly can make you seem nervous or unclear, while pausing strategically emphasizes important points and allows listeners to absorb information. Pacing your words carefully enhances clarity and impact. Touch can be a powerful nonverbal tool in appropriate contexts. A handshake, pat on the shoulder, or light touch on the arm can communicate confidence, support, or connection. However, always consider cultural norms, personal preferences, and appropriateness to avoid discomfort or misinterpretation. Nonverbal communication also reinforces verbal messages. When your body language, gestures, and tone match your words, your message feels authentic. When they contradict your words, trust can break down. Alignment between verbal and nonverbal cues is essential for ethical and effective influence. Observing patterns in nonverbal behavior provides insight into readiness, agreement, or hesitation. For example, nodding, leaning forward, or making consistent eye contact often indicates engagement, while looking away, fidgeting, or crossing arms may suggest doubt or resistance. Adjusting your approach based on these observations strengthens influence. Nonverbal influence is particularly important in high-stakes situations like negotiations, presentations, or leadership interactions. People are highly sensitive to signals of confidence, empathy, and authority. Mastering body language and tone allows you to communicate subtle messages that guide others toward cooperation and agreement. Finally, practice is essential. Observing others, experimenting with gestures, tone, and posture, and reflecting on their impact will help you develop intuitive nonverbal skills. Like verbal communication, nonverbal influence becomes more natural and powerful over time, with consistent attention and awareness. As we move to the next chapter, Storytelling to Persuade, you will learn how to combine verbal and nonverbal skills to create compelling stories. Storytelling builds emotional connection, reinforces trust, and enhances influence in ways that facts alone cannot. Chapter 9: Storytelling to Persuade. Stories are one of the oldest and most powerful tools for influence. Humans are wired to respond to stories. They grab attention, create emotional connection, and make information memorable. When you tell a story effectively, you guide people to see your point of view, remember your message, and take action. One of the first keys to storytelling is relatability. Your audience should see themselves in your story or connect with the emotions and situations you describe. The more people relate, the more your message resonates. For example, sharing a personal experience about overcoming a small fear can inspire others to face their own challenges. Another essential element is structure. A compelling story has a clear beginning, middle, and end. The beginning sets the scene and draws attention. The middle introduces challenges or conflicts, creating tension and interest. The end delivers resolution or a lesson, which is the takeaway for your audience. Well-structured stories guide listeners through an emotional journey that reinforces your message. Emotions drive stories. People respond to feelings more than facts, whether it's excitement, fear, hope, or relief. Emotions make your story memorable and persuasive. When telling a story, highlight the emotional stakes, describe how a situation felt, what challenges were faced, and how the resolution brought satisfaction or learning. Emotional storytelling engages the brain in ways that plain statements cannot. Use specific details to make stories vivid. Details about characters, settings, and actions make the audience visualize the scene and feel involved. Instead of saying, "I was nervous," you might say, "My hands shook and my heart raced as I stepped onto the stage." Small, concrete details turn abstract ideas into memorable experiences. Authenticity is vital. People can sense when a story is exaggerated or fake. Genuine stories build trust and rapport. Share experiences, lessons learned, or challenges faced. Even small, honest stories can have a huge impact because they feel real and relatable. Conflict or challenge makes a story compelling. Every good story involves some obstacle or problem. People are drawn to how challenges are faced and resolved. This also mirrors real-life experiences, making your message relevant. For example, a story about a time you had to convince a group to work together demonstrates problem-solving and influence in action. Characters are another key part. They give your story someone to root for or understand. Characters can be yourself, others, or even a metaphorical figure. Well-developed characters help your audience connect emotionally and understand motivations and decisions, which makes your influence stronger. Pacing is critical in storytelling. Don't rush through important moments and allow pauses where emotions or tension build. Pauses give listeners time to absorb the information and feel the impact. Too fast, and details are lost. Too slow, and attention fades. The right pacing keeps listeners engaged and makes the story persuasive. Use dialogue when appropriate. Conversations within a story bring scenes to life and provide insight into characters' thoughts and emotions. Dialogue also adds realism and helps the audience feel like they are part of the story. Keep dialogue natural and reflective of how people actually speak to maintain authenticity. Link the story to your message. The goal of storytelling influence is to guide people toward an idea or action. After sharing a story, make the lesson or takeaway clear. Show how the experience demonstrates a principle, solution, or value that aligns with what you want them to understand or do. Nonverbal elements enhance storytelling. Your gestures, facial expressions, tone, and pauses make the story more engaging. A calm, confident tone conveys authority. Excitement or passion adds energy. Your body language reinforces the emotions and actions in the story, making it more memorable and persuasive. Practice storytelling. The more you tell stories, the better you become at pacing, clarity, and emotional impact. Observe reactions and adjust accordingly. Storytelling is not just about memorizing facts, it's about creating an experience that resonates, teaches, and inspires. Stories also help build rapport and trust. When you share experiences, listeners see your vulnerability and authenticity. They feel connected to you, which makes them more receptive to your influence. Storytelling humanizes communication and transforms ideas into experiences. Finally, stories make abstract concepts tangible. Lessons about influence, Leadership or persuasion can be complex. By embedding them in stories, you help people understand and remember principles more effectively. For example, instead of explaining a persuasion technique in theory, show how you applied it in a real situation and what the result was. As we move to the next chapter, handling objections and resistance, you will learn how storytelling, combined with listening and persuasion skills, helps you guide people through doubts and hesitations. Stories create connection, but addressing objections ensures that connection leads to understanding and action. Chapter 10. Handling Objections and Resistance. No matter how skilled you become at influence, objections and resistance are inevitable. People naturally question new ideas, resist change, or have doubts. How you respond to these challenges determines whether your influence succeeds or fails. Learning to handle objections effectively is essential for guiding people toward understanding, agreement, and action. The first step in handling objections is listening carefully. Often, people raise objections because they feel unheard or misunderstood. Pay full attention to what they are saying, both in words and in tone. Active listening shows respect and helps you understand the real reasons behind resistance. Remember, objections are not personal attacks. They are signals of concern or hesitation. Next is acknowledgement. Before responding, acknowledge the objection. This can be as simple as saying, "I understand your concern," or "That's a valid point." Acknowledgement does not mean agreement. It demonstrates that you are listening and taking their perspective seriously. People are more receptive when they feel their concerns are recognized. Clarify the objection. Sometimes people express vague or emotional resistance. Ask questions to understand the underlying issue. For example, "Can you explain what worries you about this approach?" Or, "What outcome are you concerned about?" Clarifying ensures that your response addresses the real concern, not just a surface-level objection. Stay calm and composed. Objections can trigger defensive reactions, but responding emotionally can escalate resistance. Maintain a calm tone, relaxed posture, and neutral facial expression. Emotional control signals confidence and authority, encouraging the other person to listen rather than argue. Use empathy to connect with the objector. Try to understand their perspective and feelings. For instance, if someone is hesitant to try a new system at work, acknowledge their fear of making mistakes and offer reassurance. Empathy builds rapport and reduces defensiveness, making it easier for your influence to take hold. Provide evidence and examples. Once you understand the objection, respond with clear information or examples that address their concerns. Use stories, data, or real-life experiences to demonstrate the validity of your point. For example, sharing a story about someone who overcame similar concerns can make your argument more relatable and persuasive. Offer options or alternatives. Sometimes resistance arises because people feel trapped or forced. Providing choices empowers them and reduces pushback. For instance, if someone objects to a specific approach, suggest alternative methods that achieve the same goal. Options make people feel respected and more willing to cooperate. Highlight benefits and alignment. Show how your idea aligns with their values, goals, or interests. People are more likely to accept suggestions when they see personal or collective benefits. Focus on how adopting your idea can solve problems, save time, or improve outcomes. Linking your message to their priority increases acceptance. Reframe objections positively. Sometimes objections are based on misconceptions or fear. Reframing helps shift perspective without dismissing concerns. For example, if someone says, "I don't have time for this," you might reframe it as, "Using this approach now could actually save you time in the long run." Reframing guides people to see possibilities instead of obstacles. Maintain credibility and trust. Avoid arguing aggressively or dismissing concerns. Trust is the foundation of influence, and mishandling objections can damage it. Be honest about limitations, acknowledge uncertainty when necessary, and show willingness to collaborate on solutions. Integrity strengthens influence, even in challenging situations. Patience is key. Some objections cannot be resolved immediately. Give people time to process information and reflect on your perspective. Pushing too hard often increases resistance. By being patient, you demonstrate respect and allow influence to take root naturally. Use questions to guide thinking. Asking thoughtful questions encourages objectors to examine their assumptions and consider alternative perspectives. Questions like, "What would happen if we tried this approach?" or "How could this solution make things easier for you?" help people explore possibilities and arrive at their own conclusions. Learn from objections. Resistance is also feedback. Each objection reveals something about how people think, their priorities or potential challenges. Use this information to improve your approach, clarify your message, and anticipate future objections. Handling resistance effectively is not just about persuasion, it is about growth and adaptation. Combine listening, empathy, and storytelling. Often, objections are emotional rather than rational. Using stories, acknowledging feelings, and responding thoughtfully creates a bridge for understanding. For example, sharing a story about someone who faced similar concerns and succeeded demonstrates possibility without dismissing their fear. Practice resilience. Not every objection can be overcome immediately. Some people will need time, repeated exposure, or multiple conversations to accept an idea. Maintaining composure, respect, and consistency in your approach ensures long-term influence, even if initial attempts are met with resistance. Finally, remember that handling objections is part of a larger process of influence. It is not about winning arguments or forcing agreement. It is about understanding, guiding, and supporting others in a way that leads to mutual benefit. By mastering this skill, you turn resistance into opportunities for connection, learning, and effective influence. As we move to the next chapter, negotiation skills for influence, you will see how the techniques of handling objections naturally flow into negotiation. Negotiation allows you to reach agreements that respect both parties' needs, while maintaining trust, rapport, and ethical influence. Chapter 11: Negotiation Skills for Influence. Negotiation is more than just bargaining or reaching an agreement. It is a structured way of finding solutions that satisfy everyone involved, while maintaining trust, respect, and influence. Mastering negotiation skills allows you to guide discussions, address objections, and create outcomes where all parties feel valued. The first step in effective negotiation is preparation. Understand your goals, priorities, and limits before entering any discussion. Know what you want to achieve and what you are willing to compromise on. Also, research the other party's needs, concerns, and motivations. The better you understand both sides, the more successful your negotiation will be. Active listening is crucial during negotiation. Listen carefully to what the other party says and how they say it. Pay attention to both verbal and non-verbal cues. Understanding their perspective helps you identify areas of agreement, potential compromises, and hidden objections. People respond positively when they feel heard, which strengthens your influence during the process. Clear communication is another key factor. Express your ideas, needs, and proposals clearly and respectfully. Avoid vague language or aggressive tones. Clarity ensures that both sides understand each other and reduces misunderstandings that can derail the negotiation. Use concise and confident statements to convey your points effectively. Empathy plays a central role in negotiation. Consider the other party's feelings, values, and motivations. Empathetic negotiators can frame solutions in ways that appeal to both sides. For example, understanding that a colleague values efficiency allows you to highlight how your proposal saves time, not just resources. Empathy builds trust and makes others more willing to collaborate. Problem-solving mindset is essential. Negotiation is not about winning or defeating the other person. It is about finding solutions that satisfy mutual interests. Approach discussions as a shared problem rather than a battle. This mindset encourages cooperation, reduces defensiveness, and increases the likelihood of reaching a positive outcome. Flexibility is important. While preparation is key, rigidly sticking to one approach can limit possibilities. Be willing to adapt and consider alternative solutions that still meet your core objectives. Flexibility demonstrates openness and fosters creative solutions that benefit everyone. Building rapport is equally critical. People are more likely to agree with someone they like and trust. Use the techniques you've learned in previous chapters, listening, empathy, storytelling, and body language, to strengthen your connection before and during negotiation. Rapport makes discussions smoother and increases the chance of reaching an agreement. Handling objections effectively during negotiation is vital. Treat objections as opportunities to explore concerns and clarify misunderstandings. Addressing objections respectfully and providing evidence, examples or alternatives builds credibility and maintains trust. Avoid dismissing concerns or reacting defensively, as this can damage the negotiation process. Focus on interests, not positions. People often argue over positions, what they say they want, rather than the underlying interests, why they want it. By identifying the true interests, you can find solutions that satisfy both sides. For instance, if someone wants a higher budget position, their underlying interest may be achieving better results or meeting a deadline. Addressing interests allows for creative solutions that fulfill both parties' needs. Use objective criteria when possible. Decisions based on facts, data, or standards reduce emotional tension and create fairness. For example, referencing industry benchmarks, past results, or agreed-upon standards makes proposals more persuasive and less confrontational. Objective criteria strengthen credibility and support collaborative solutions. Timing matters. Know when to present proposals, concessions, or compromises. Rushed negotiations may lead to misunderstandings or poor decisions. While strategic timing can create openness and cooperation, observe the flow of conversation, the other party's emotional state, and external factors to optimize timing for maximum influence. Mutual benefit is the ultimate goal. Negotiation is most effective when both sides feel satisfied. Strive for solutions where everyone gains value, even if the outcome is not exactly what you hoped for. Achieving a result that respects the other party's interests, maintains trust, rapport, and long-term influence. Patience and persistence are critical. Complex negotiations often require multiple conversations. Don't expect immediate agreement. By remaining patient, attentive, and consistent, you allow trust to grow and ideas to take hold naturally. Persistence combined with respect enhances influence without coercion. Closing the agreement effectively is just as important as the discussion itself. Summarize key points, confirm mutual understanding, and clarify any next steps. A clear and positive closing ensures that agreements are followed through and reinforces your credibility and influence. Post-negotiation reflection strengthens your skills. Review what worked, what could be improved, and how the other party responded. Reflecting on past negotiations helps refine strategies, improve communication, and enhance emotional intelligence for future interactions. Negotiation is not only a tool for professional situations, it is a life skill that applies to personal relationships, team projects, and everyday interactions. When combined with trust, rapport, communication, listening, emotional intelligence, and persuasion, negotiation becomes a powerful tool to achieve influence ethically and effectively. As we move to the next chapter, Influencing in Leadership, you will learn how to apply all the skills covered so far: trust, communication, persuasion, emotional intelligence, non-verbal cues, storytelling, handling objections, and negotiation in leadership contexts. Leadership amplifies influence by guiding groups, inspiring action, and creating lasting impact. Chapter 12: Influencing in Leadership. Leadership is the ultimate platform for influence. Leaders guide others, make decisions, and inspire action. The skills you have developed: trust, rapport, communication, persuasion, emotional intelligence, non-verbal cues, storytelling, handling objections, and negotiation come together in leadership to create meaningful and lasting impact. The first principle of leadership influence is leading by example. People follow those who demonstrate the behaviors, values, and work ethic they admire. Actions speak louder than words, and leaders who model integrity, dedication, and empathy earn natural respect. Leading by example inspires trust and sets the tone for the entire group. Vision and clarity are essential. Effective leaders communicate a clear vision that others can understand and align with. A compelling vision answers the questions, where are we going, and why does it matter? When people see the purpose behind actions, they are more motivated to follow and contribute. Clarity reduces confusion and strengthens commitment. Building trust and rapport is even more important in leadership. Teams perform better when members feel understood, respected, and supported. Use active listening, empathy, and transparency to connect with others. Trust enables leaders to guide effectively, even in challenging or uncertain situations. Effective communication is critical. Leaders must convey goals, expectations, and feedback clearly. Communication should be consistent, concise, and adaptive to different personalities. The ability to articulate ideas in ways that resonate with diverse team members strengthens influence and alignment. Emotional intelligence enhances leadership influence. Recognizing emotions in yourself and others allows you to respond appropriately, manage conflicts, and motivate effectively. Leaders with high emotional intelligence inspire loyalty, collaboration, and resilience. They create environments where people feel safe to share ideas and take initiative. Decision-making is a major aspect of leadership influence. Influential leaders make decisions based on information, input from others, and ethical considerations. Explaining the reasoning behind decisions increases transparency and trust, even if not everyone agrees initially. Inclusive decision-making encourages engagement and reduces resistance. Empowering others multiplies influence. Leaders who delegate responsibility, provide guidance, and encourage growth inspire confidence and initiative. Empowered team members feel ownership, which enhances motivation and aligns their actions with the leader's vision. Influence grows when others feel capable and valued. Conflict resolution is another leadership skill linked to influence. Disagreements are inevitable, but how a leader manages them affects group cohesion and performance. Effective leaders address conflicts calmly, listen to all perspectives, and find solutions that balance fairness and outcomes. Skilled conflict management strengthens credibility and influence. Inspiring through storytelling works in leadership as well. Sharing stories of challenges, successes, and lessons learned motivates teams, conveys values, and reinforces goals. Stories connect emotionally, making abstract visions tangible and memorable. Leaders who communicate through stories engage hearts as well as minds. Non-verbal communication is amplified in leadership. Body language, tone, facial expressions, and presence influence perception and engagement. A confident posture, calm demeanor, and approachable expression inspire confidence and approachability. Leaders who are aware of their non-verbal cues strengthen the impact of their words and actions. Handling objections and resistance applies on a larger scale in leadership. People may resist change, new policies, or decisions. Using empathy, active listening, clear explanations, and problem-solving techniques helps leaders address concerns while maintaining trust. Resistance becomes an opportunity to build understanding and reinforce alignment. Negotiation in leadership often involves balancing competing priorities, resources, or opinions. Leaders who negotiate effectively find solutions that satisfy multiple stakeholders while maintaining relationships. Ethical negotiation ensures that influence is fair, respected, and sustainable. Consistency and reliability are crucial. Leaders who consistently act according to their values, communicate transparently, and follow through on promises earn lasting influence. People trust leaders whose actions match their words. Reliability reinforces credibility, loyalty, and commitment. Mentoring and coaching are extensions of leadership influence. Guiding others to develop skills, achieve goals, and overcome challenges strengthens relationships and multiplies impact. Leaders who invest in growth inspire loyalty and create environments where influence spreads organically. Adaptability and learning are vital in leadership. Influential leaders observe outcomes, reflect on successes and failures, and adjust strategies accordingly. They remain open to feedback, new ideas, and evolving circumstances. Adaptability demonstrates competence, humility, and foresight, which enhances influence. Motivating teams requires understanding what drives individuals. Some are motivated by recognition, others by growth, responsibility, or purpose. Tailoring encouragement and feedback to personal motivators strengthens engagement and cooperation. Leaders influence more effectively when they connect actions with meaningful incentives. Finally, ethical leadership ensures influence is positive and lasting. Influence built on manipulation, coercion, or fear may work temporarily but damages relationships and credibility. Ethical leaders guide, support, and inspire in ways that benefit both individuals and the group. Long-term influence thrives when it is grounded in integrity, respect, and care. By combining all the skills of influence within leadership, trust, communication, persuasion, emotional intelligence, non-verbal cues, storytelling, handling objections, negotiation, and ethical guidance, leaders create environments where people follow willingly, contribute fully, and achieve meaningful results. Leadership is not just about authority, it is about guiding, inspiring, and multiplying influence for collective success. As we move to the final chapter, Mastering Influence for Life, you will see how to integrate all the skills learned throughout this audiobook. Influence is not limited to leadership or business. It is a lifelong skill that enhances relationships, decision-making, and personal growth.